Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's video we're going to talk about Michael Oher being blindsided. Do you remember the film Blindside back in 2009? I love the movie. It was incredible, uplifting. Turns out it's not as fantastic as we all thought it was. So we're going to talk about that today. And the lady who had a meltdown on the plane and became a meme, and everyone who's been talking about her, it's just been going on, has finally come forward to talk about what happened that day. If that sounds interesting to you, stick around because I'm about to get into it. But before I do, if you haven't already, like, subscribe. Coming out of my channel, it'd be really great to have you here. And with that being said, let's get into today's video. Michael Oher has come forward and now wants to come against the Tuohys for having a conservatorship and basically making money off of his life story and his likeness and not giving him anything for it. And the family came forward saying, well, the reason why this happened is that he was 18 years old at the time and they weren't able to adopt him, so they had to get a conservatorship in order for him to go to Oher so that he can continue on with his football career. Well, they're saying that they never really received much of anything from the movie, which I kind of find hard to believe. I don't know, but they're saying that they only got money from the book, that they all split equally, and Michael was never left out of that. He ended up getting his share just like everyone else. Well, he's claiming that he didn't. And the son had come forward also in a video where he said that he was getting still residuals from the film. It's kind of like a mixed story, and it's hard to know exactly what is what, but they're going to end up going to court and battling it out.
Oher claims he was tricked into signing documents he believed were a necessary step in the adoption process. But just 6 months ago, he says he learned he was never adopted. Instead, Sean and Leanne Tuohy became his conservators.
Now, the Tuohy family said that they had no problem dissolving the conservatorship anytime he wanted to, that they weren't going to hold him to it. And it's seeming from their perspective that they just want him to be happy and they wanted to help him. They were never trying to keep anything from him. And that he had threatened a lawsuit against the family some time ago, demanding money from them for using his likeness. And that might be something that might cause problems in court for Michael later on. I'm not really sure how all of it's going to shake out. But another thing that he had mentioned that really kind of broke my heart is that not only did the conservatorship make it difficult for him to, negotiate his own contract, also the movie had depicted him in a way where he seemed incapable and kind of, he was like a gentle giant, basically in the film from my perspective. But he said that it made him look like he was, slow, and that people treated him differently because of how he was portrayed. It was a dramatized adaptation of his life. It's not exactly who he is. So he says that it had caused problems for him in his actual life moving forward because of how he was portrayed in the film. And I could actually see that as being a problem. I can see that as being something that would be very real and very true. What I don't understand is that why did it take so long for him to look into the whole conservatorship and, figure out that this was going on, that it wasn't really an adoption, but it was actually a conservatorship. Why only 6 months ago did he discover that? Also, a conservatorship would be for someone who was incapable of looking out for themselves or making decisions. It's true that Michael Oher was, in fact, incredibly impoverished, and he was on his own as a kid, and they let him live with them and took him in his last year of high school and gave him, that leg up, booster family. And it's kind of looking like they were a booster family in my opinion, but again, allegedly, I don't really know. My point is that he wasn't really disabled. He had his faculties. He was a smart kid. I mean, he was impoverished. He was struggling, but he wasn't slow. I don't know. I guess their lawyers had advised, according to them, that was what they should do so that it would look like it was, he was a family member if they had a conservatorship over him. They even had the mom, the Tuohys had said they had her in court and everything was, all legal and done on the up and up, and that they never had any intention of hurting Michael, that they wanted and considered him to be a part of their family and still do today, and that they love him. But they're claiming that they didn't get extra money for the film, that they didn't profit off of his life. I feel like that's kind of hard to believe, that the movie was huge, and it seems kind of difficult to, I don't know that they wouldn't give them something for it. You know what I mean? Not just the book, but the film, and some kind of payment for it. I have a hard time wrapping my head around that one and thinking that they didn't get anything for it. I do think that Michael deserves some compensation. It was his life story after all. It was his likeness. And yes, the family took him in, which is great. They did profit off of it. I feel like they did. Even though they were already well off and had a restaurant chain and, had that whole thing going for them, they did get something for it. I mean, allegedly, I think. It would be strange if they didn't. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of hard to believe. So I'm going to keep an eye on this case and watch how it unfolds. I am incredibly curious about it. And I do have such a love for the film. I want to know have you seen it? And what do you think about this? Do you think that the family is telling the truth? Or do you think that Michael really does have grounds for receiving compensation for something that he was left out of, where they ended up gaining and profiting from him and he ended up being blindsided? The next thing I want to talk about is our young lady from the plane. I'm going to do a little quick reminder for those of you who don't know. I believe it was from Texas to Florida, American Airlines. A woman is sitting next to a man having a conversation with him that starts to escalate. She accuses this person of taking her AirPods. She starts, having conflict with the flight attendants and really just has a complete and utter meltdown. Well, then she goes just radio silent. The whole thing blows up, becomes viral. I mean, it is like everyone knows about this. And everyone's coming forward saying they're the actual lizard person she saw on the plane. This guy who's a Freemason comes forward and says, it was me that day. I was in the green hoodie and I'm a Freemason. And that's what I do here on TikTok, is I teach people about how we control the universe. And it's everyone and their mother's coming forward saying that they were the person in the hoodie. It's actually laughable. People are creating artwork. It's this whole thing. And her voice and everything is on loops and it's a whole deal. Well, she has come forward today and, well, a couple of days ago. And I caught it on TMZ, as a matter of fact, where she is making a statement about what had happened and how it had affected her. And honestly, I feel freaking horrible for this lady, because the whole thing has just been, let me find it really quick.
Hi everyone, it's me, Tiffany Gomez, probably better known as the Crazy Plane Lady, which is completely warranted. As you know, I have been unwilling to speak on the viral video, but I do finally feel that it's time. First and foremost, I want to take full accountability for my actions. They were completely unacceptable. Distressed or not, I should have been in control of my emotions, and that was not the case. My use of profanity was completely unnecessary, and I want to apologize to everyone on that plane, especially those that had children aboard. Can't imagine going through that and trying to explain to your kid what in the world just happened. We all have our bad moments, some far worse than others, and mine happened to be caught on camera for the whole world to see multiple times. Well, it has been really comical for everyone, and I have highly enjoyed so many of the memes. On the flip side, it is very invasive and unkind, and I don't know what I would do without the love and support of my friends and family. They are loyal to a fault, and I don't know what I did to deserve them. Sorry, y'all. I hope that I can use this experience and do a little bit of good in the world, and that is what I intend to do. I hope that you guys can accept my apology and I can begin to move on with my life.
My heart just breaks for her. I can't imagine, because it was on such a huge scale, and people were even coming forward claiming to know her, to actually be her, and it was all just a huge mess. And now she's, dealing with the aftermath, or has been dealing with the aftermath of all that. I wouldn't be surprised if she was put on a no-fly list because of what happened. I don't know for sure. I'm just allegedly saying, when you have something like that happen to that degree, it's a possibility that can happen for you. And she is a professional. I forget what she does for a living. I had found it. I'll put it up so you guys can see if I happen to locate what it is. But she's a professional individual. She's, hasn't had any kind of history of things like this, so far as I know, occurring, and this is just something that happened. It was a bad moment that she had that went incredibly public. So yeah, I have nothing but compassion for this young lady, and I hope that she's able to just rebuild and move on and live the rest of her life in peace, because yeah, I couldn't imagine being a meme like that where you're just, where everywhere you go, people are, you know, making fun of you and just giving you grief because you had that very public. Now that we all have cell phones, it's so easy for that to happen. It's also becomes a thing of where, you know, we need to be aware of that and respect people and not post every little thing that we see, because you don't know what that person is going through, and to film and post stuff like that so that you can get views and stuff, it's just not right. I just wanted to sit down and share that with you guys so you can, you know, get up to date on what's going on, because I feel like it was something that we were all curious about. It was like, just who is it? I mean, and what happened? Did she see something? People were even saying in the comments of that post that she had made is, what did you see that day? I don't think she saw anything. I think she had a moment. I don't know if she was drinking or what. Again, she doesn't go into detail about it, but I think she just had a really bad moment that got caught on camera and became incredibly public. Prayers and all good things going out to her, and I'm hoping that she can heal and move forward, and that we can all just, you know, let her do that. But I did want to share it with you guys because it was such a huge story. So let me know what you think about the stories that I shared today, how you feel about the Michael Oher thing, and what side you're on with that. I'm just waiting to see how it all unfolds and what happens, because I think he's going to move forward with the lawsuit. They're going to end up in court eventually, and we're all going to see what transpires then. But I am curious to know your thoughts. And also, I'd love to know what you think about the young lady who had that moment on the plane, her coming forward and now dealing with the repercussions of what happened that day. Do you think that there are certain points where we should go ahead and keep the cameras down and not film people in these very vulnerable moments? In my opinion, I think it's better. Not everything needs to be posted on the internet. Not everything needs to be put out there so that people can get followers and views and things like that. Things like this, I think, should have been left alone. I'm sure she's suffered quite a bit because of it. And yeah, those are my thoughts. But I'm curious to know yours. Let's talk about it in the comments. And yeah, that's going to do it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for sticking around and watching. As always, I really do appreciate it. And I will catch you all in the next one. Bye!